everyone, and welcome back to yet another cracking edition of the Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series, where we are talking to entrepreneurs and CEOs all about their epic business blunders and everything they learned in the process of failing. And with us in the hot seat today is none other than Jason Miller. He is the founder and CEO of a number of companies, but today we're going to be chatting about Strategic Advisor Board. That's strategicadvisorboard.com. Jason, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Great to be here. Yeah, we all have the same 168. Thanks for having me for a few on your show.
Yeah, man, it was privilege is all mine, dude. So you know what's coming. Let's get on with the elevator pitch. What exactly are you guys up to over there at Strategic Advisor Board?
Yeah, so Strategic Advisor Board, just really simply put, is a management consulting firm. And so it's think management consulting, but bolting on advisory board too, to that. So we'll go in and do advisory work and also management consulting. I got a great team. There's a team of 10 of us over there. We're all CEOs, and we all are partial owners of that company. So it's very unique from that standpoint. Yeah, and our focus is creating rapid revenue for companies.
Awesome. And who are you consulting to typically? I see you across industry, but are you looking at enterprise or small medium? Like where's your sweet spot?
Yeah, we usually work between $1 million and $60 million is where we work. I found below that it's difficult in our model to work, and above 60 hits mid-market. So now you get more in the corporate models and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in the happy medium there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I spent in another life. I worked at Accenture, so I was doing when the internet happened and everything was running on-prem, and then people were like, "Oh, we can run our processes in something called Internet Explorer," and then things like PeopleSoft happened, and web-based technology, all that kind of shit. So I did a lot of traveling and management consulting and that kind of stuff because it was just so new. Like people just didn't have a clue, So
right.
Yeah. All right, bud. Well, look, let's get into the meat and the potatoes of the story. What is your epic story of fail for our audience around the world today, Jason?
Oh, man, I could stack up a bunch of them, but a whole lot of them. But I'll use, since we're talking about Strategic Advisor Board. So before that, the company was called something else. So I had a model similar to it, right? That was the test bed for what the Strategic Advisor Board is today. And I brought 7 partners into that company. And not knowing all of them really, really well, they were all powerhouses in their industries and so on and so forth. And we got the company up to about 4 or 5 million pretty fast. And one guy I didn't really know very well. All of a sudden, I opened up the bank account and it was gone. Right? All the money was gone, right? And he lived overseas. I'm not going to say where, but he didn't live in the U.S. And finding out later, he had some things that happened. He was getting sued, all these different things, and basically it was an opportunity for him because he knew we weren't going to chase him anyway. And that was an epic failure because at that point we all just went, we're done. We wrapped the company up and shut it down, and I regrouped because I was the one that brought the model together. I regrouped it, did it for myself for a little while, hit the point where I couldn't take any more clients, and then I scaled it to what SAB is today. So
that's crazy, eh? So what actually did you ever get in? Did you ever find the guy?
I know where he lives. I know exactly where he lives. It just wasn't even worth the headache.
Yeah. Really. Well, you spent 23 years in the military, my friend. That's the kind of guy you don't want after you.
Well, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah. Well, that's funny, man. So look, I mean, when you think about that whole experience, Jason, like what stands out for you as a key lesson, right, that you now take forward with you?
Yeah, the key lesson is no matter what you do in business, choose your partners, choose your JV partners, people that you decide you're going to lock hands with. I don't care if they're just affiliates, people that refer to you. Be extremely selective about who you choose to work with because once you get in that bed, it's hard to get out of it, right? And
Yeah.
so take the time. It's like an employee, right? You don't just go see somebody on the street and go, "Man, you look really good. Like you probably know Microsoft Word really well. I'm hiring you." No, you got to vet people a little deeper than that. So
Yeah.
I even go so far nowadays as I hire a PI and have people run their whole everything. It's like running a whole background check on people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you should. And it's interesting. Like I interviewed my dad. I know you have your own show as well. You should get your dad on there if he's still around or someone like that. But I was
mhm.
chatting to him, and I said to him, because he's also founded multiple companies, blah blah. And I said to him, like, what's the one if you were to give yourself one piece of advice about business or building businesses? He said something really surprising to me. He said, trust people less. And I thought it was quite a powerful idea, isn't it? Because you kind of feel like, well, trust is what transactions and relationships are built on, and businesses are people, relationships underpin people, people build businesses, whatever. So if that fundamental pillar of business is questionable, then what does that mean, and how do you apply criteria or filters to understand whether to trust anybody or not? Because it's such a difficult thing to do. There's intuition and there's PIs and stuff like that, but even then, like, you could be completely clean, or the guy could be completely clean, or she, and everything seems fine, and then it's a total fuck up at the end of it. You know what I mean? And it just happens. It's like I don't think I've met any successful CEO or entrepreneur over the last decade or 25 years even, who hasn't had some major like issue with people, like whether that's hiring the wrong people, having money stolen out of bank accounts. Like I spoke to another friend of mine, Nick. He runs Audio Militia, and he was saying like the CTO and a whole team of developers went or like in the business employed full time were building their own products. And it's like, how do you know? Like, you just don't know. Like, and I've got countless other stories about that.
Yeah. See, I'm with your dad. I just have a little tweaked version of that,
Yeah.
and it's trust but verify, right? So I have just a little bit of a different a different way to look at it. But there again, you can only verify so much, right? To
Yeah.
where, you know, you can't always know everything, but then at some point in time, you do have to you've got to put some things in the hands of others, right? It's just
Mm,
you can't do it all yourself, right?
no.
Possible. So yeah, I do the trust but verify and do that as well as I can do it.
Mm. Well, that's why I'm a great believer in like this idea of like trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. You know,
True.
so if you
Yeah.
adopt that philosophy and you just guard it with access to systems or banks, whatever makes sense for you, then like the problems are sometimes preventable if not avoidable altogether. Like the consequences aren't as hectic.
Right.
But to your point, like it's a very difficult thing to get right. So Jason, if you could get into the Matt Brown show time machine and kind of go back to yourself at that moment in time, like what would you do differently now, knowing what you know, and hindsight being a perfect science? What would you do differently and why?
That's easy in this situation because I already set that up in this company,
Yeah.
and that is none of us have the ability to transfer money. Period. Right? I don't even. Our accountant is the only one that has access to the bank accounts. So we have to go to our accountant if we're going to do distributions, any of that. My whole team only has read access to our bank accounts. They can see everything, just like me. I can see everything, but I can't transfer money either. And that's how I fix that problem. Nobody can take money out of the account but the accountant. So unless the accountant's shady, well, then we got another problem. But
That's even worse. They can steal it and make it look like it was never there.
Yeah, right.
You got
But
to get. Hope you trust and verify your accountant.
yeah, yeah. But
uh,
that's been, I mean, that's been set up and working for me that way for now the last almost 6 years.
yeah,
And it's very successful. It's one thing I don't have to worry about anymore. And it's when your accountant. I mean, I know my accountant really well. She just happens to live up there. So, so if I can't trust her, well, then
yeah, exactly.
I don't know who
Uh,
the hell I'm going to
uh,
trust at all.
I see what you
So
did there. Two birds with one stone, hey?
that's it.
That's funny. So, Jason, what's your advice then to other CEOs, entrepreneurs about, the importance of failing or the process of failure to become successful in your business ambitions?
Yeah, it really comes down to this. Just keep going, right? Especially when it sucks. Keep going, pick up your rucksack, put it on your back, quit feeling sorry for yourself, right? You're not on an island, you're on one if you want to be, but you're not. Quit feeling sorry for yourself and keep climbing the mountain, right?
Mhm.
Keep going and don't stop, right? And you'll find out very quickly if it's right for you or not, right?
Mhm.
Because people tell me all the time, I have no idea how you do it. And it's like, I do it because I have four people up there that I want to have the life I didn't have. So every day I strap that freaking rucksack on and I start climbing the mountain every day, right?
Yeah.
And you get kicked and you fall down 30 feet. I get up, dust off, and keep going, right?
Mm.
And that's what you have to do as a business owner. I don't care if you're a corporate CEO or you're just a small business owner running a shop downtown. You're
Yep.
going to get kicked in the face. Get up and keep going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a few Navy SEALs on the show, like Rourke Denver, Leif Babin,
Mhm.
and a few others. And I always ask the same question, like, how similar is business or entrepreneur building businesses to going to war? Like what the feelings, and that kind of stuff. And every single time the guys have all said pretty much the same thing, which is it's exactly the same as going to war. The only difference is you're not going to get shot. But pretty much the feelings of uncertainty, doubt, fear, all these things, they're like wrapped into the same thing. So I always say like business is for, especially when you're in the early stages where you don't have the luxury of runway, you don't have a lot of things that only time will give you. And so when you don't have those things, to your point, you have to just keep moving. You have to keep like it doesn't matter what happens, you just have to keep moving. And I remember when I was 26, my first company, I've sold my first one, so I thought I could walk on water, right? And then luckily the second one, the universe is going to fix that for me. But I remember it not working, and I was like, oh shit, like that's terrible. Like I felt so bad about myself, like I beat myself up, I was a failure, this and that. It was completely the wrong thing to do. But I didn't have that experience to say, well, actually, what are you going to do now when shit gets real? Are you going to be the victim or the victor? You're going to, and it's a choice. And so you have to choose every day to become the victor in the end. It might not come today, maybe in a month or 3,000 days. It doesn't fucking matter. But you have to choose to keep persevering towards that thing, no matter what and how hard it gets, and the sleepless nights and the whatever. You just have to keep moving forward, and that's what I believe why Navy SEALs are so successful, just US military in general, is because they trained with that mindset in mind.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, you don't have the luxury of, leaving the wire and then something happens. Your guy next to you takes a bullet through the throat, right? You don't have the luxury to stop and like have empathy or any of that shit, right? Because you're now all you're thinking of is how do I get the rest of my men back home, right?
Yeah.
I just lost one. That sucks, right? But how do I not lose any more, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in business though, right?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing, only we don't run around with rifles. We run around with freaking keyboards and stuff. Right?
An
So,
email.
An email. Got email
Yeah,
bullets.
yeah, shoot my email. 10,000 dead.
Right.
Oh my
Uh,
God, that's hilarious. Jason, what about books, tools, and resources and stuff like that that you recommend?
well, so I mean, there's a ton of resources and tools out there for business owners, depending on what the stage of life you're in, obviously. Um, but a really, really good book that I always recommend people read is called Rocket Fuel, because you got to know who you are, right?
Hmm.
And it'll kind of show you whether you're that architect or integrator, right? And it's a short read too. And there's a little quiz and all that kind of stuff. And there's a million of those different kinds of things that tell you that kind of information. But this one's just kind of a quick and down and dirty. And to know who you are is how you'll best serve your company. If you're not an architect or a visionary, don't sit in that seat, right? Get the right person to sit in that seat. Don't try to be a COO if you're not a good integrator, right?
Hmm.
So those simple things like that. So that's a really good book. Um, you know, tools wise, man, there's just Jesus. There's so many tools in the world nowadays, but having a good CRM system is what sets your company up for failure. And you can ask anybody that knows me, don't ever ask me to open a spreadsheet. I will literally come across the freaking phone and choke you to death. I don't do spreadsheets. It's 2023, for Christ's sake. We have technology that does all that stuff, and it does it way better, right? Creating customer journeys, all these different things.
Hmm.
I use a system called MPro. I'm a little biased because it's one of my companies, but we kind of custom made that system to fit any company, and it's the one that all my companies run off of.
Hmm.
So it's a really good system, so on and so forth. The other book is a little self-serving, maybe, but I believe in the Trinity and how we plan our business around the Trinity. The Trinity is the strongest shape in nature. So why wouldn't we plan our business functionally around that? So another good book to learn that operational side of things is, it's called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. And it's one of my books. It's got a blue the cover is blue. So but no, I mean, I've got a ton of my own books, but that's probably one that really goes deep into process for
Hmm.
sure.
How many books have you written?
13 international bestsellers.
Crazy, man. So when's
Yep.
your next one coming out?
I have a new book series of 3 that'll probably be out in about 2 months.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. I got a couple coming out next month, so I'm super pumped. Super pumped
Awesome.
for it. Yeah, man. Secrets to Fail, obviously being one, and then I've got another one around influencer or influence. So yeah, cool, buddy. Well, look, thanks so much for coming onto the show. That does conclude your time in Hot Seats. Great to chat to you, and congrats on all your success, man. And thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Like I said, we all have the same 168, so thanks for having me on your show.
Awesome. Anybody else, or everyone else rather, we'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.